Welcome to the Stories of Faith podcast channel, a ministry outreach effort by the youth deacons of the First Presbyterian Church of Edmond, Oklahoma. This podcast episode is the first of 3 parts, featuring an interview with Ella Mae Miller. Ella Mae is a member of our church and celebrated her 90th birthday in June of 2008. She has 5 children, 18 grandchildren, and 19 great-grandchildren. She has lived an amazing life, and in this interview she shared memories of her life growing up, reflections on her journey of faith, and insights about the things which bring her joy as a child of God, living in almost a century on earth. Thanks to Ella Mae for sharing this interview, as well as Crystal McGee for assisting in the interview.
Whenever I came to Edmond, I was going into the Baptist youth group then.
Okay.
But my husband was very active in the Presbyterian youth group, but he met me and wanted me to go to church with him, and I said, no, you come and go with me. I mean, he wanted, no, he could go with me, and since I wouldn't go to his, he wanted to know if he'd go with me. But I was going to the Baptist youth group, and so he came there. Then the girls, all from the Presbyterian group, howled, so they said, you've got to come over to the Presbyterian church because we got to have him. They didn't want me. They wanted him. But we did go there, and I got to go in with him, and I got to go in church with him, and finally, after quite a while, I joined the Presbyterian Church here in Edmond because that's where he went, and I just decided that I needed to be in that church if I was going to, we joined that church if that's where I was going to go.
And did you meet him when you were in high school then?
No, college.
You were in college?
Yes.
Were you at UCO? Where did you go to college?
Here in Edmond.
Okay.
My life has been pretty much around here. And so I did join the church in 38, but we kept going together, and he did ask me to marry him, and we did get married.
Mm-hmm.
And then he told me, if you hadn't joined the church, I wouldn't have married you.
Really? What was different back then between going to the Presbyterian youth group and the Baptist? Were there many differences?
Well, not that I knew. I wasn't that interested in religion.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that was concerned, I liked to go to Sunday school, and I did go to Sunday school some, and I did go to church some. But as far as being really a Christian, I like to think that I was, but I wasn't.
Now, you didn't just live in the United States when you were growing up. You lived some other places too, right?
Yes, but growing up, I was here in the United States.
When did you go abroad?
After I married and had 2 kids.
Oh, okay.
See, my husband was very, very religious. My children's father was a good man. Really good. He's a person that brought love into my life, not only for me, but for Christ and everybody else, I guess, because he was a good man.
So when you give advice to your grandchildren, what's some of the advice that you would give them, looking back on your life, of the things that you did or the experiences that you have? What kinds of words of wisdom do you have to pass on?
I'm not wise enough to give them advice.
Oh, I bet you are.
But I did Johnny came over and was with me, my son, and I said to him, do you remember your father reading to you? He said, yes, I remember him reading to me. Because I remembered that's the way my children learned to read, was the fact that he read to them. But Johnny said to me, when I got to be 6 years old, he made me read to him.
You turned the tables, huh?
So that was funny. But I really enjoyed him being here. Just the ball game had so many ads on it, and he would turn off when it wasn't playing the ball game. Turn off, and we got to talk. There wasn't anybody here with me. Usually we have all of his kids and everybody else around, but Johnny was here, so I got to question him about little things.
Well, you said that when you, looking back, you thought you were a Christian, but you might not have really been one or act like one. Tell me a little bit more about that. When do you feel like you came to know, what does it mean to you to be a Christian? Let me ask that.
I guess to love and be loved, I guess, is the thing that was the main thing. I don't know. I guess I've always been loved all my life. But it didn't appear to me until I had someone that no matter what I did or said, I'll tell you a little trick there, something that really showed me that my husband loved me above everything else, because of the fact he had a bunch of sheets of typing paper that he used, and it was very important to him, that typing paper and things. But it was something that was bothering me, and he said something to me, and I didn't like what it was that he had wanted me to do or wanted to say. And I picked up that paper and kind of threw it down on the floor, kind of toward him anyway. But I didn't hit him or anything. I just threw it down the floor. And he did not fuss at me. He did not say one mean word to me. He did not do anything but gently pick that paper up, sheet by sheet, and stacked it up there, and didn't say anything. I knew that he loved me.
That's a heart of love and patience to be able to do that, isn't it?
It was, because that was something that he liked. But my family hadn't been real loving and kind to people. They just kind of liked to have their own way, I guess.
So you grew up Baptist?
Not exactly Baptist, no. I did go to Baptist church, but I can't say that I grew up in any religion. I went to Presbyterian. My father did not go to the church. My stepfather. I had a stepfather, and he did not go to church. And Mother didn't go either very, I can't remember her going very often. But I did go because I had some friends that went to Sunday school. So I like to go to, I'd get up and go to Sunday school with them sometimes. Well, the one thing that made me start doing it was because the neighbor had little get-togethers for the kids that went to Sunday school. And I lived across the street, and I saw them having fun. And they wanted to invite me over. And they went to the Presbyterian church. And so they would invite me over. And I'd even go to Sunday school at the Presbyterian church. But when I came down to college, the the Baptist kids invited me to BFU. And so that's what I was doing.
What do you remember about Sunday school back then? Do you remember what that was like, or what they...
Well, we just got together and talked about the Bible and talked about Jesus and things, but I did learn some, but it was not anything. I had a grandmother that would come, and she was there for one time when they were having a revival in the little kind of a park that we had there, and she took me to that revival, and I thought that was something, really.
Now, was they baptizing people there, or what was the revival like?
They did baptize, but they took them out to the river whenever they, they took them to a lake or a stream of water someplace anyway. And so I decided that might be just real nice to to be a Christian. And I thought about getting baptized then, but I didn't. But as I said, then I did go to Sunday school and to BYU, and then I got interested in my husband, who was not my husband, and got to go in with him all the time, and so therefore I wound up being a Presbyterian, and I wound up being a Christian, and I think it is all because of my husband.
When were you baptized? Do you remember being baptized?
I think we were baptized then.
When you joined the
church?
Uh-huh.
I was baptized. I wasn't stuck in the water. I was just baptized.
You were sprinkled. That was a Presbyterian baptism, huh?
But then I have been very much, ever since then, I have been very much in the church.
How has the church been important to you in your life and the community of people in the church?
Very, very important. Is an important part of my life, and still I get so set here that I don't get down there all the time. I don't like to have people have to come and get me and bring me back and do things like that, so I just stay here instead of going.
My kids sure like to see you, though, when you ride the bus on Sundays.
Well, you go every Sunday morning. You don't go for all the...
I go to Sunday school,
to church
on Sunday. But I used to go. I even have taught Sunday school classes. I had.
Did you? What ages? Were they adults or kids?
Well, they were kids. Always kids. Whenever I went home for some of the summer, even when I was in college, when I went home for the summer, they had me teaching a young girls' Sunday school class.
You were active in circles, too, weren't you?
Well, yes. I guess I have done a lot of things that way, but I haven't done as much work for the church as I should.
When was the time when you felt really closest to God? Either when you were, this is at any time of your life, would you say you felt real close? And I'm going to ask also when you felt distant from God. So if that time comes to mind first, you could tell that story. But is there a time that comes to mind particularly where you either felt particularly close to God or maybe particularly far away for some reason?
I don't know what to tell you about that. And different times I have felt very close to God, and other times that He's been kind of, but I don't know how to tell you that. I mean,
did having children change things for you when you? Because how many children?
I have 5 children.
5 children.
Wonderful children. We wanted 6. We were going to have 6. We planned to have 6 children. And God didn't give me the 6th one. But that 5th one was very nice. Well, in fact, when we were in Iran, we decided to have 2, get them in school, have 2 more, get them in school, have 2 more.
Okay.
And it worked out until we were in Iran. And I said, it was time to have Crystal. And I said, no way. I said, let's just wait until we get back to the States.
Was that because of hospital situations there? Or
yeah,
what?
It was because of us being in a foreign country, and me not knowing the doctors, me not knowing anything. I thought,
you didn't know the language yet, did you?
No. I just felt like, no, I can't do that. And he said, yeah, God will take care of us. And we got to go ahead or we won't be able to have our children. And he convinced me that it would be no worse than having it in the States. That everything would be all right. It was.
So you were born in Iran?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she was born in Iran. That was an experience too, because there was not a war, but uprising in Iran. They're trying to overthrow the Shah, and I was time to have Crystal, and I was so worried because if you got sick during the night, you couldn't go out on the streets.
Curfew.
Curfew was on, so they had me going over and stand all night at the hospital.
Just
several days before she was born. I stayed all night because I could get up and go home in the morning, but I had to be there before 11 o'clock and go home in the morning because they had curfew. And then at another time, they sent us all out of, another time they were trying to overthrow the Shah. I think they really did that time. I mean, really got rid of it. But anyway, we went to Gatchisara that time and lived in a hotel. And had little kids then.
Now, what was your husband doing in Iran?
He's assistant treasurer.
Okay.
For the Presbyterian mission.
Oh, okay. For the State Department? Or
for the Presbyterian Church.
Oh,
he was the first missionary sent out from First Pres Edmond.
His picture's in the hall down there if you haven't seen it.
I've probably seen it, but I just didn't connect all the stories that I should have connected with.
You don't have the same last name anymore, Mom.
It's John Port.
And so he went to spread the gospel in Iran. Wow.
And he would have kept it going back and worked there the rest of his life. Mine too. Because we would not have been separated.
He'd love to
He wanted in Tehran. Is that where you were?
Yes. He was set on it. I mean, he really wanted to be a missionary.
Now, did you know that when you met him in college? That he wanted to be a missionary?
No, not then.
Did he know it?
I don't think he did know that that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a writer at that time whenever I was going with him. He was painting pictures and writing. And that's another funny thing that happened. I was in an art class. I wasn't any good. And he would be standing there waiting for me to get something done so that we could go walk out in the park or just go someplace. And he would be standing there by me. And I was trying to finish up what I had to get done before I could leave. And I got along fine because of the fact that I would be just working like everything, and everything I did, that still wouldn't look like a picture. And one day, he took a hold of the chalk, and he just threw that a couple of lines on that picture, and it looked like a picture. And there I'd been working for a long time trying to make it look like a picture. I couldn't, but the teacher walked in. And he said, I thought your work was getting much better.
What was it like to be a Christian family in Iran?
Well, the Iranians didn't like us. But some people liked us.
Was there already a Christian community there that you all went to join?
Yes.
Very many people?
Yes, there was. The hospital unit was there where the soldiers had been. And so we had flush toilets and...
Was that unusual?
Water, yes. And our house had water and electricity, and it was not. And then whenever we moved, we still went to the church compound. See, we were in a compound, and we were inside walls, and the school was inside a wall too. And the church compound, the school was in the church compound. They had houses, and they had the school, and they had the business offices in one place. And then the hospital compound was another place. That's where we went first. But then we moved down to the business place.
Were you all connected to the embassy at all, or was it a separate compound?
We were not connected to the embassy.
It was all church?
It was all church there. And the embassy was off at another place, but we did get invited to a party there and saw the president.
Really? Which president was that?
Nixon.
President Nixon.
But he was vice president.
He was vice president. Yeah. When he came and visited us.
Sorry.
But anyway.
So, what did you all have church services there within the compound?
Yeah,
mainly for Americans who were there, or some Iranians?
They had Americans and Iranian people too. We had an English service and a Persian service, and then we had some other services too going on. But anyway, they taught school in English.
Now, were you a teacher?
Not then, but whenever he died, I went back to school. Mm-hmm. And then's when I see, when we got married, I had just a couple of years, but he had 4. He graduated whenever he was 18. No, he was
19, I think.
It was before he was 20.
Okay.
But he had to have his father get his license for him.
For
so we get married.
Oh.
But
What do you mean by that? That
he wasn't old enough.
So his dad went in and bought the license for him?
Well, he went with
He had
him.
to sign.
I had to sign for him.
Yeah.
How old did you have to be then to get a marriage license?
I think the man had to be 21.
Really?
And he wasn't quite 20.
Huh. Interesting.
He was 20 when we got married, though.
Was it challenging to be a Christian in a Muslim nation? I mean, how?
Well, everybody looked at you. I mean, it was just different to live there. I mean, to be a foreigner in a country where you don't speak the same language. But after you've been there for a while and learned the language, it's not bad at all.
Now, did you learn to speak Farsi?
I could get along fine in conversations. I never have been able to read it and do things that I should have been able to do. But I could talk it. They did understand me sometimes.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing.
And so it was nice. The ladies were nice. They have good people there. As I said, after you learn the language, it's learn enough language that you can talk and understand what's going on. It's not bad at all, and you would like it. And I told my husband when we were getting ready to come home, I didn't think it was bad. We didn't need to go home or so. And I said, things are not so bad here anymore. And he said, it's time for you to go home.
Well, how would you all share your faith with Muslims who had a very different experience?
Well, you did it by just being kind to them, talking with them, and trying to help them whatever they were doing. I mean,
was the school that you all had open to them? So there.
Yes.
Was that part of the ministry?
We had the children that wanted to learn English.
Didn't you work in a well baby clinic too?
Yes, and we had a well baby clinic. We would give milk powdered milk and cereals to the poor babies. I mean, weigh them and try to tell them what they needed to do for the baby. So we had a well baby clinic there, and we weighed the babies and kept tab on them.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice, as I said. After you're there for a while, the first year is kind of not so good, but you have to work hard.
How many years were you there?
5.
Thanks for listening to the Stories of Faith podcast channel, a ministry outreach effort by the youth deacons of First Presbyterian Church of Edmond, Oklahoma. You can learn more about our church and how you can become a part of our loving Christian community by visiting our website at www.fpcedmond.org. Please come worship with us on Sunday morning at the corner of 10th and Rankin in Edmond, Oklahoma. We also hope you'll listen to parts 2 and 3 of this special interview with Ella Mae Miller. May God bless you this week.
Welcome to the Stories of Faith podcast channel, a ministry outreach effort by the youth deacons of First Presbyterian Church of Edmond, Oklahoma. This podcast episode is the second of 3 parts, featuring an interview with Ella Mae Miller. Ella Mae is a member of our church and celebrated her 90th birthday in June of 2008. We pick up in the interview when Ella Mae is speaking of her time in Iran. We hope you enjoy.
Can you see mountains pretty clearly from Tehran?
We even went up in the mountains. We did a lot of things there. I went with the doctor to a village to, he would give injections and take care of patients, and I got to go with him sometimes. You can do all kinds of things.
Up in the away from the city.
Out away.
Any memories of what that was like?
Well, it wasn't bad at all. We enjoyed it. Was
it primitive as far as the village? I mean, you mentioned flush toilets were unusual at that time.
That's right. Going there too was very unusual. You don't have filling stations along the road, and no.
So did you have gas cans that you all took with you, or how did?
They did. They had gas cans, and they stopped along the road with no toilet.
Had to go find.
Yes.
Were there lots of trees around in there, or was it more desert-like?
It was more desert too. We were driving several cars.
From Beirut to Tehran, right?
Yes, from Beirut we went to Baghdad, and went from Baghdad to Kermanshah, and that in there was from Baghdad to Kermanshah was kind of bad. Then when we got Kermanshah, and whenever we went down, got in, it was snowing whenever we got there, and it was my husband was having to drive, and he said, to have people that have their heads covered and just going out on the road, you didn't know. He said they spent hours telling him how to get over the mountains, how to drive over the mountains, and not a thing did they say about driving in the streets of Tehran. They had quite a time.
And I would suspect, as a woman there, you didn't drive. Is that correct?
I didn't drive.
So did you have to have your head covered at all times when you were in public?
I didn't have to have my head covered unless I was going to go down to the mosque or something, because they were allowing women to dress like we wanted to dress.
Is that part
we
of the
did
Shah's?
have to.
Yeah, the Shah was in
We did. We had to wear hose and gloves, and I can't remember.
You had to wear gloves.
Had to have a hat when we went to the embassy.
What years was this?
This was 50 and 51, 52.
Got there in 49.
Yeah.
49
50,
and 54.
50, and we left there.
Okay.
Got back here in 55.
Do you remember being scared and praying at any time when you were there?
I was scared whenever I was left to watch 5 cars in the port of Beirut. I was so stupid. If I went and did it again, I would have had a good time.
Now, what do you mean to watch 5 cars?
They didn't want them taking the caps or the anything off of them because they were new cars. They didn't want the people that come around taking anything off of these.
So you were the car guard.
Well, we had some guards out there too, but this little guard that was there, he kept coming over to me. He felt sorry for me, I guess, sitting there doing nothing for them to be gone so long. And he would bring a bottle of water over there to me and try to tell me that it was water. He tried to tell me that it was just something to drink. I could drink it. And he was trying to be good to me. And I wanted him to go away and leave me alone. But anyway, it was, if I had to do over again, as I said, I'd have a bottle.
This isn't really a question of faith, but it's just I'm interested. What was the best food that you ever had when you were overseas?
I guess chili kebabs. They were very nice. Those cubes of meat that were cooked just so with rice and things. It was nice.
Did you learn to cook in an Iranian tradition or in the ways that they cooked, or did you
we had our own cook. I mean, we had an Iranian that was supposed to
You've
cook.
given us
I did cook.
recipes.
I did see after the cook. I had to tell them what we would like.
Right.
Try to.
Right.
They had to try to tell me what they had. But anyway, we cooked Iranian food. We liked some of it and didn't like some of it. But we had haresh that was good, and we still eat that. I like it very much.
What is haresh?
It's chopped up meat with onions and tomatoes, and then you put green beans in it and cook it and put it over rice.
Put it over rice and put yogurt on top of that.
Yogurt on top of it.
Plain unsweetened yogurt. Yeah.
And they have a crusty bread that they ate with it.
It's our comfort food.
Yum. That sounds really good. What would you say were some of the most joyful memories that you've ever had?
What memories? Oh, I can't remember. Oh, I guess everything has been so good to me. The Lord has been good to me, really. I have had, I will say, a wonderful life.
You could tell him about Johnny's birth.
That wasn't a wonderful part of it.
But it turned out great.
Yeah, the doctor gave me a bowl, a silver bowl with little roses in it. I mean, little flowers, roses in it. Because that he had to take Johnny without waiting for the medicine to take any effect at all. And he said that it was absolutely necessary. And he was the happiest man you ever saw when I was alive and that baby was alive.
Now, what number child was Johnny?
That's number 4.
4.
You talked about earlier times when they might have felt close. I don't know. I don't think Mother was thinking much spiritually, but I know that the doctor told Father when he saw how the baby was positioned and everything, he said, go call all the other doctors because I don't want to be responsible for this. She's an American woman. Get every other doctor over here. And then you claim to be a man of God, you pray. Because he said, I can't save both of them. You pray and decide which one you want.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why the doctor was so excited when they both lived.
Wow.
Doctor was very happy. But he said to me, you just have to bear with me.
Oh my gosh. Now were you in Iran for his birth? Mm-hmm. So how many of your children were born in Iran?
2.
Wow. And so that was a real miracle that you were both survivors of that?
He wanted us to be alive because there were 3 other women that are Americans. I think there was more than that. But anyway, that he knew would leave if anything happened to me or the baby.
Uh-huh.
Because that was something that they just wouldn't have stayed there.
Right. How long did you stay in the hospital? I know now sometimes women will just stay in a day, and they're out. How long did you stay?
I said the Lord's been good to me. I had 2 babies here. I was in the hospital 2 full weeks with James. I was in the hospital 2 full weeks with Carolyn. I did not go to the bathroom. I did not do anything. I mean, they took care of me down here in the hospital. I was in Iran for 2 babies, and they took care of me there. I didn't stay in the hospital the full 2 weeks, but I didn't do anything for 2 full weeks or even maybe even longer. I don't know. Anyway, I I had easy time as far as that was concerned. I was taken care of when my babies were born, and then when I came home and had Jay, I was in the hospital several days then. But now they kick them out the first day.
They do. They come out. Well, you talk about God being good to you and living a good life. How many children do you have, and how many grandchildren? And how many
I have 5 blessings, and I have 17 17 grandchildren, and I have 18 great-grandchildren. All of them wonderful. I've got pictures I can show you. I can prove every bit of it.
You can prove everyone.
Most of them lived within 10 miles of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they all moved out to California and Virginia.
It was 3 out of her entire family. 3 grandchildren, and their families lived further than 10 miles from her.
Right. Wow. Now, did you know your great-grandmother when you were growing up? Did you have a chance?
My grandmother died at a young age, and my grandparents lived away. They weren't close to me. I didn't have but one set of grandparents.
Now, one of them took you to the revival. Which grandmother was that?
That was my mother's mother.
Okay.
And I did not know my father's mother. And they wouldn't let me know my father either.
Your parents were divorced when you were, 6 months old or something? Pretty tiny.
I was just a tiny baby. And mother married again when I was 2. And as I said, they had they had an agreement that my father would not come around, would not see me at all, and I think he wouldn't have to pay anything to take care of me or something. And he chose that, and he lived not too far from me, but I never did get, I had seen him a couple of times, but he never tried to see me. But after I got old, I did go to see him, and he was very nice to me, and he talked to me. But as I said, he did not try to come see me. And see, I was going to school. He was not more than 5 miles away from where he was, but I did not know him, and I did not see him.
Wow.
I thought that was very unusual. I still do.
Yeah.
I would do differently now. And I had a grandmother that lived there too. Mm-hmm. That was right close. But my stepfather told me, he said that the guy came down there and they had a talk, and they decided that he would not bother me.
Well, that makes me think of showing love. What are your favorite ways to show love to your children or your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren?
I don't know. I just like to see them. I guess I give them my love.
I think her favorite way to show love is to cook.
Do you show love through cooking? I think we see an example of that today.
Well, I guess I tried to feed them right, but I try to give them candy now, and their parents don't like that.
What are your favorite recipes to cook for your family? And when you were, and even earlier, before you were here in Teal Ridge and things like that, did you have favorite recipes that you would fix for them?
I don't remember any favorite recipes. We just had food.
Yeah, Mom taught home ec, so she had a plethora of recipes and was always trying new things. And
They're trying
Get
to
bored.
feed them right. I want them to grow up healthy.
What do you think's different about the time that your grandchildren and great-grandchildren are growing up in now compared to the time that you grew up in, as far as the ways that the world
We
moves
left
families?
our house. We never had a key. Our house was always open. Just didn't lock doors at all. Didn't even think about locking doors. Neighbors were nice. They didn't take things that didn't belong to them most of the time. We had very few people that were. I think there's an awful lot more crime now than there was then. Kids could go to school, go to town, go to the store, go places, and not have to worry about them.
What are the prayers that you say now for your family and for the church? What's on your heart as far as your prayers?
Health, family, and that's every morning. Health, family, and happiness. Thankful for my surroundings, and I don't know. Each and every child, I feel it's God will take care of them. I hope.
Is there a particular story of the Bible or a particular verse that comes to your mind more than others as far as...
No, there's lots of them. Lots of them. I don't have any particular song either. If you want songs, I just don't. I've been listening to some of these that I think are good. This one has all kinds of songs on it. It's nice. This one is one that I got one year from a birthday from one of my little grandkids and my son, his wife. It's called Celebration of Life. It has songs on it. They're good. There's a lot of them here. These are just piano basses. But they're nice. Oh no, I like songs. I just...
Crystal, are there any questions you can think of?
The thing we have in Jesus. Yeah.
I haven't asked. It would be
No, I think you've done
asked.
a good job at hitting the highlights.
I can show you some pictures.
Okay.
Here, let me get the lights on and you can grab the pictures. Would you like some more tea?
Yes, that would be wonderful. Thanks.
I got some other pictures out in there in the other room, Crystal, that I thought about. What you might like to see.
Sure.
This is when you get to be 90 years old, you get this.
Oh, wow.
I had a 90 of it. That's it.
Oh, look at that.
That is my family.
Wow. What a great looking family. That's her
whole family on your birthday.
90.
Yeah, there were
You might like to
several kids. Let's see, Sean's family was missing and Doug was missing, right? That's 4 or 5. There are 5 people missing out of her whole family.
Wow. Now, I do have a question that came to mind before we flip through these. If you could do anything different as you look back on your life, is there anything? Is there?
I'd do better.
How would you do that? How would you do that?
I'd be kinder and more loving. Work harder, I guess.
I thought of a question that I was going to ask a while back. He asked you what advice you would give to your grandkids, and you said you didn't have any. What advice do you think Papa would have given to the grandkids if he'd been alive?
I really don't know. I think he would have been very proud of them, though. I think he would have been glad. He always felt that the little kids had to be in Sunday school. I mean, they had to be in church. He didn't put them in the nursery. And he held the baby in his lap, and he used to hold his finger and let
Here you go. This is what she's talking about. Push right there. And then you push right there. You push right there.
Oh, and so
this
that
will
was
keep a kid occupied for a long time.
Really?
He kept the kids entertained, and he used to, whenever he came home from work, when he was living here in the States, he would be he lived not too far from the, and he would be whistling as he walked along. When he got close to the house anyway, he would be whistling, and Carolyn Jean would grab her book and meet him at the door when she was still crawling. I mean, when she would walk, she actually carried books with her. And these are grandkids. These are, that's a great-grandkid. That's a grandkid.
I don't think I've ever seen this many roses.
Oh, they had roses. Yeah. They had roses.
You want hot water?
Hot water in this, please.
You got white roses and yellow roses, or pink roses.
They were white and yellow. This was food. And this was my grandson that did this.
Was this a surprise, or did you know this was happening?
No, I knew it was going to happen. I wouldn't let him have
years before she turned 90. She was going to have a big blowout when she was 90, and then she was done. And she was going to quit watching her diet, and she was going to do all this stuff she wasn't supposed to, and she was done.
So, does that mean you started smoking?
No, but if I wanted to, I would. It's not one of the things that I want to do.
Thank you for listening to part 2 of our interview series. We advise that you listen to the third section to hear her conclude her thoughts and hear the rest of her journey of faith. Thank you again for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this interview. Welcome to Stories of Faith podcast channel, a ministry outreach effort by the youth deacons of First Presbyterian Church of Edmond, Oklahoma. This podcast episode is the third of 3 parts, featuring an interview with Ella Mae Miller. Ella Mae is a member of our church and celebrated her 90th birthday in June of 2008. She has lived an amazing life, and in this interview, she shared memories of her life growing up, reflections on her journey of faith, and insight about the things which bring her joy as a child of God, living almost a century on earth.
Now, how old do you think your grandmother was when she took you to the revival?
Must have been, she was at least 50 or something. I don't remember what. She died at 58.
Had she come over in the run, or how had she come to Oklahoma?
She was here to greet them. They were Indians.
Really?
My grandmother would not let anybody know that she was part Indian.
Really?
I mean, she did not want to be named as she was an Indian.
What tribe was she
Cherokee.
part of?
But she wasn't
Yes,
proud of
so
that
she
at
did.
all.
So she was fair skinned and could and passed
Not
as
exactly fair skinned. I thought she was more like an Indian than most of us. She didn't want to be claimed an Indian.
Huh. How did she meet and marry your grandfather? Did you ever hear that story?
Don't remember.
Did you know him or just know her?
I knew both of them. They moved off to another state, and I didn't see them very often at all. That's my son right there that you don't know. That's the one that said his father made him read to him when he got to be 6.
Where does he live now?
He lives here in Edmond.
Oh, he
It's
does.
probably 3 blocks from our church, but goes to a different church.
Oh, he does. Oh,
He
okay.
still goes back down the city. He lived down the city for a while, so he...
Does he go to the Presbyterian church down there or a different church?
It's...
They were attending Greystone Presbyterian Church, and there was a split, and the split went non-denominational and went with the split. It was years ago back.
I'm sure when you have this large of a family, you're going to have lots of different churches and lots of different...
Most of them are Presbyterian.
Are they?
Got one branch that's Church of Christ. Now, Stephen Brenda's,
Do they still go over here?
as far as I know.
They don't come over here, so I don't know.
What's the biggest surprise you ever remember having?
I've had lots of surprises. I guess they had a birthday party for me one time. I guess they have had... That has
Is it your
been a
80th
surprise.
that we did the surprise party in Guthrie?
75 or 80, I don't remember
I
which
think
one.
it was 80, because I think 75 was the blowout at your house.
But anyway, a lot of times I have good surprises, just different people come around.
Oh, now look at that. That's you at 3 months old.
Yep.
Wow. So where would that picture have been taken if you were 3? Would that have been out at the farm
Yep.
that you said between here
Probably.
and Tulsa? How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I didn't have any brothers and sisters. I had 2 half-brothers.
Older or younger?
They were younger. They're both
gone
dead.
now.
That was my father and mother. But that's the guy that I did not know. I think I looked something like him, though, sometimes.
How old were you when you were able to meet with him? You said that was in college?
Well, no, I wasn't in college. I was married.
By
Whenever
the time we went,
we went,
you were in your 50s.
yeah, I know, but your father and I went to see him one time, and because your father insisted that I needed this to see him and let him know, and he was real nice, but we hadn't told him that we were coming or anything. He was a little embarrassed, I think, but very nice. He asked us back, but we never did get around to going back.
Was it unusual for women to graduate from college when you went to college, or were there a lot of women going to college and graduating?
People were I wasn't unusual at all.
You were for your family. She was the first person in her family to graduate high school, and I said, what made you think, as the first person who graduated high school, that you could go on to college? And she said, I just wanted to.
Really? What did you study in college?
Well, home economics is what I got my degree in, but I had to study other things to get it.
Now, did your husband major in religious studies, or what did he?
Art and English.
Because he was an artist and a painter. Now, did he ever draw you pictures?
He drew pictures, but whenever we went to Iran, we lost them all because his father died while we were gone. And whatever happened to his artwork, I never did know.
Wow.
No one else ever did either.
Did he end up writing as?
He wrote, and he's got lots of things published in the church papers.
Did he write any books?
He was published in a book. He wrote a space story for young kids that was published in an anthology of space stories for kids.
And he wrote articles for
Sunday school papers. He wrote.
He was published in Jack and Jill. I don't know if that magazine exists anymore. I don't think it does.
I don't have any of those. I thought I gave them to you.
Now, you played tennis?
I tried. Those are back in my youth.
That's fun. Now, is that your husband was Al?
No, well, that was her third husband. That's her first husband there. That's my father.
That's my husband.
So you were married 3 times?
We've outlived them all.
Wow. Besides living in Iran and Edmond, did you live anywhere else?
Lived in New Mexico.
New York.
We lived in New York and Ohio.
Did you all go to church in each place? How hard was it to find the church? Was it the church, I guess, that took you to those different places after you left Edmond? Or
no, you had to find your own church. I mean, sometimes some places we went to different churches on Sunday whenever we came back from Iran, because he would talk. But we always went to a Presbyterian church in New York and in
Ohio.
In Ohio.
that's a mosque?
Yes.
Is that in Iran? Or?
Yes.
Now, this is Ella Mae and Carol and Jean.
Yeah.
Carol and Jean died. She was my daughter.
And that's on the boat, isn't it? Going over to Iran?
Yes.
Did she pass away when you were there in Iran or on the boat?
She
She
died
died in
here.
97. She was in her
Here.
50s.
Oh. Wow. Has that been challenging for your faith to outlive children?
Yes. That is difficult, really.
That's
It
not
was
something
difficult for my husband to die, too.
Because Jay was, 3
Yeah.
when Papa died?
You may know Jay.
Oh, yes. I see him every Sunday I'm driving as he escorts you to the bus. Did your family think you were going to be so adventurous when you got married to?
Oh, they didn't want me to get married. They didn't want me to.
And then off you went?
They didn't want me to go.
Oh, I'm telling the story of Grandma and the Preacher. My mother was really against her going overseas, and let the preacher know in no uncertain terms what she thought of that.
Oh, to try and get him
She
to...
worked on oil fields, so she knew how to use uncertain terms.
Uh-huh. And so the preacher here at the church, to try to get him to weigh in and stop her from
He was
going?
the one who had let them know there was such an opportunity, so she held him directly responsible
Uh-oh.
for carrying her child and grandchildren away. She was not happy.
Do you think that being overseas like that with your family and husband brought you closer together as a family?
With my mother and them?
With you, no, you and your husband and your children.
Yes, very much so.
How did that make you all closer and tighter?
Well, I don't know. I guess I had always felt that that picture there was a lot of fun.
Was that in Iran or was that here?
It's Iran.
Where would you have been
Caspian
swimming?
Sea.
In the Caspian Sea?
Yeah.
Now, is it salty? No, the Caspian's not
No,
salty.
it
is
wasn't salty.
It's fresh water.
It was very nice. We went there for one vacation. We went to the Caspian Sea and up at Resh, and they had beautiful figs. Oh, figs were that big around, and they were so yellow and so beautiful.
Figs, yum. And there's Crystal in the high chair. What did your husband think about, I guess, the prospects of sharing Christianity in the Muslim world when you all came back? Did
He
he?
wanted to go back very much, but the doctors wouldn't let him go back.
Because of his health? Or
Mhm.
so it was more his health that caused you all to come back than politics
Well,
or circumstances there?
5 years we were supposed to come back.
They had to have a furlough. They'd go for 5 years and come back for furlough.
And then we have to go back.
Okay. How long was the furlough supposed to be? Was it?
I think it was a whole year because we went to school some, and we would be better suited for work whenever we went back, and that would have been much better.
It was kind of to refresh.
I would have probably done a lot more if been a lot better. I'd known a lot more than I did when I first went over there. You're getting into pictures that don't really tell you anything.
That's your mama. You got it. That's her mother.
Oh. That's a birthday for her.
Mm.
So yeah, they came home for a 1-year furlough, they thought, and so they left most of their things in Iran and came home, and then the Board of Foreign Missions decided that Papa was too sick and didn't need to go back.
Had he contracted something when he was over there? Or?
No, he had kidney failure, and they said that he would have a better chance here than
He said.
there. He wanted to go back over there. He thought that he could push a pencil as well over there as he could here.
Push a pencil as well?
He said it was his life and he should get to live it where he
Right.
They said no.
Wow. How many more years did he live after that time?
8.
Yeah.
Didn't think he lived that much.
It's 54 to 63. That's, yeah, I think 55 is when they told him
Well,
he couldn't go back. That's when I moved to Edmond.
You look like a pretty happy 90-year-old there.
Well, that was a very nice.
Now, and you had some violins playing there at the event?
He had people playing
He had a string quartet.
music. He had food. He had flowers. And he had my grandkids, some of them singing to me.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought he did a wonderful job on that party.
That's quite
That's Jordan. You ought to know him, too. He goes to our church.
I don't think I know
No,
Jordan.
he goes to second service, so Wes probably wouldn't know him.
We did go to second service today because we were out late last night at Frontier City, but normally we're at early service.
Jordan just graduated college and has moved back to the Edmond area and does come to church, but I don't think he's involved in anything else except showing up for the second service every week, so I'm grateful for that.
Yes, that is good.
See, I have wonderful kids.
You do. You have a wonderful family.
Grandkids. Those are kids and grandkids there.
That is an amazing collection of folks. Did you ever think you would have so many grandchildren?
No, I
great-grandchildren?
didn't.
I think it's really odd. She mentioned her half-brothers. Her one half-brother got married and had one child who never married. And so he died. His entire family can now fit in the front seat of a Corvette. Mom can't get her entire family, in half a church,
Wow.
And they started out the same,
Yeah.
They were siblings.
I sure think that's nice.
What are the best things that people in the church can do for you now? You've given so much to the church. What are the things that the church can do for you at this point, or the things that...
I just don't need anything. I guess they bring me a bus to ride to church. That's a good thing. But I don't go to everything because of the fact that to go to church and be there all day to be there for church, I'm tired the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah, it's draining. It's draining.
Come home and want to lay down.
I thought it was required to take a nap on Sunday afternoons.
It should be. I think my father-in-law would say it's required. Probably should be.
And there's so many things going on here all the time. I could keep busy from the time I get up until I go to bed every day. So I don't do that.
Right.
And then if I want to do any cooking or anything, I have to be able to get to the store and get some groceries.
Well, I sure appreciate you fixing cake, and I'm sorry that I didn't have more mouths to help enjoy it today.
I thought that they were going to bring their
I
little
know.
kids.
Well,
I have toys that the kids can play with
I
sometimes.
think he was going to bring high school kids, so they might not have played with your toys.
I do have children though that could do that, so maybe we'll have to set up another time to have them come over and visit. Well, it's been very
Nice.
special to be here and hear
Very nice.
hear you share your experiences. You've had some amazing experiences, and
I've had a very good life. I mean, I've had bad times in my life, and I have lost very dear people.
mm-hmm.
But the Lord has been good to me. I have been blessed so many ways, and now every grandchild I see that I tell you, they're just so precious. The little genies, little kids they're just wonderful. And now Jameson has a little girl, and don't get to see her because she's off in California. But I gave up traveling. I guess I could travel, but I don't know whether to say I'm too lazy, or I just don't like the effects of after I do it.
Well, you're blessed that so much of your family lives so close, and I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
So blessed, because
Because that is a difference between now and years ago. Because years ago, people tended to all kind of stay closer together. And now, families tend to be so spread out. And that really, I think that really is a blessing for you to have so many so close. And that's wonderful.
I have a friend here that has five children too, and she has a lot of grandkids. And she and I decided that we could have us a community. Someone said I could have a community. And we decided if we put our two families together, we could leave our doors unlocked.
That's right. You could just have a whole neighborhood and everything.
And we'd have our own doctors, our own lawyers, our own
self-sufficient
teachers, and everything in our community. And we could have the nicest community.
That's right. That's right.
Have our own church. We got our own preacher.
Except some of those grandkids would go outside the community to meet somebody someday. Who knows? They might do something wild, like run off to a foreign country too. Since that's been known to happen in your family before.
Several grandkids live overseas already.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
Well, thank you so much. This was really special. And this is the first we've interviewed Mateen, and I've showed some of the youth deacons how to use the equipment. But it's I really enjoy this opportunity. I don't get a chance to have a cup of tea very often on a Sunday afternoon, and you remind me of a lot of things that are important.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been working on that quilt. I'll have to show you what I have done on this quilt. It doesn't look like it's next year anyway.
But is this the quilt that you're resuscitating? That was your mother's quilt?
She's remaking one off that same pattern.
Oh,
She copied the pattern so
I
that she
took
had one just
that
like it.
quilt and got the pattern off of it, and then decided to make one. See, when it gets finished, it'll have this border around it, and then it'll have this over the pillows, and then this one's over the pillows, and then this is stuck bed.
Wow.
And the bed there's a big flower in there, and then I get it rolled on out. I could show you a little bit of it, but I can't show you too much.
Can I take a picture of you and Crystal together with that quilt? And then you take a picture of us? You okay? Let me see if this is good. You all stand over here. We get the window behind it.
So that he can get
The window
light right
overexpose it. So
come over here.
Okay.
all right. Here, you can look over here and smile. There you go. Okay, let me take one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you got it.
I can show you.
Sure.
I can show you that.
Just push that button. It's in the center. Okay. How long have you been working on this?
Ever since my birthday.
No, I don't know if I did that. Oh, you know what? I pushed the wrong button.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I
I
pushed
pushed
this
it on
one.
the outside, so we'll just push camera again. And
Sorry,
then
that's
okay.
fine.
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
That's all right.
Whoops.
That's okay. Extras are free.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got it. Who taught you how to quilt?
A woman here
Oh, really?
is Ruth.
But you pieced quilts for years and years and
Oh
years.
yes, I pieced
And she finally, when she got here, she couldn't find people to quilt it for her anymore, so she just went out and thought, "That's somebody take your help."
I did embroidery too. I'll show you one's over there. I'll let you see.
Well, good for you, learning something new. I thought maybe
And
you
she
would.
also learned how to use a computer and to email.
I learned how to do dish rags.
Yeah.
But we do have a nice group here. And these, my grandson that I'm in the word about is these.
Oh, he did. So
He's a doctor and also an artist.
the painting skill has been passed on through the generations.
I think it's a lot of that. I just got
Several
to really think.
grandkids. Pretty artistic.
Wow. That is great.
And I learned to play bridge.
Well, you know what? That is wonderful. But it not.
I could net fish rags.
Thank you for listening to the final installment of LMA's story. Have a great day and God bless.